Hello, and welcome to today's episode where I am with Emily Abe from Thistle HR Consulting. Today, we are going to talk about her journey, the ups and the downs, and ultimately what is making her successful going from the corporate world to becoming a business owner. So enjoy. Emily, so nice to have you today. Thank you so much for joining me on this podcast. How are you?
Definitely. Good. How are you?
Good, good. So I want to start out with just an introduction. Go ahead and tell me a little bit about your background, who you are. Today, the subject of our podcast, I really want to dig into your transition from the corporate world into becoming an entrepreneur. So you've been in business as an entrepreneur for how long, and what's the name of your company?
My company is Thistle HR Consulting. I have been in business almost a year now. We provide kind of personalized HR, actually handbooks and audits or policies personalized to your specific needs, or just generalized consulting services.
Starting the business, I imagine there was a little bit of fear with I'm leaving this steady paycheck. And do you remember, was there any particular moment or light bulb moment that you decided I'm just going to leave this job and this paycheck and I'm going to go out on my own? Like, what kind of challenges did you face?
Yeah, there were a few. I've always been a worker bee. I've never been really unemployed. I've always had my steady, 8 to 5, Monday through Friday, and I felt comfortable with that. I liked my consistency. My family had come, very comfortable with that. My husband travels a lot, so it was oftentimes the children and I don't think I'm alone in that when it comes to a lot of women. But when it came to kind of push and pull, I was given these two routes. I could either go corporate again and get back into that consistency, or just kind of take the dive and see how it goes. I'm lucky enough to where I've had great role models. My mom owned a catering company. My dad was a personal trainer for a while. Like, it's always been kind of in our blood to just take the leap. And my husband was very supportive. My kids were super excited to have me around more.
Yeah. Well, I think that's every mom's dream, right? How do we, in society, we're expected to not only be moms, but also do great in our career. And even for me, it's like I got to keep my hair colored and I have to keep my nails done. Like there's a lot of extra things on top of
Yeah.
being a mom and working or owning a business. So kudos to you to juggling all of that. Would you say that there's one moment that kind of comes to mind that you thought back? Maybe it's a moment where your kids were at a baseball game you wouldn't have been able to attend, or you were able to be there for them in a way that you wouldn't normally be able to if you were still in corporate.
So many, honestly, especially as they get older. I remember being mystery reader for like the first time and being able to go just at 11 a.m. on a Tuesday to
Oh,
my kindergartner's class and just surprise her in the middle of the day. And she was so excited that not only I got to see all of her friends and read them a book and then walk her to lunch, she was like flabbergasted that I was even there.
that's really
And it was just something that I will never forget. That was the point where I realized I did the right thing.
Glad you got that validation early. You're a year in and you've already had enough of those moments. It fuels your future to keep going and keep working on your business. So when we talk about strategies, there's obviously so much that goes into starting your own business. But in terms of understanding the market, you were already in HR. So
Mhm.
that's great. You understood who your ideal customer profile was. But now being your own business, how do you identify that target market? And you can go into details whether it's tools that you use or if they're just kind of a persona that you found is a really good fit for your business. Talk to me about identifying and engaging that target market.
I really, early standpoint, took part in many roundtables and networking events, and I received really great advice because at first, when I started Thistle, I thought that, yes, I have all this knowledge. I've done pretty much all of it. And I thought that in order to make it, I had to offer everything.
Yeah.
I had to do it all so that people, swarm to me thinking,
Yeah.
okay, you can handle it. I only need her.
Yeah.
Somebody once said, you can do it, but if you have the opportunity to create your own job description and do what you love, hone in on what you enjoy and do well, offer those, 4, 5, 6 things and enjoy your day.
That's great advice.
So, yeah. So, really, that really helped me narrow down my perfect marketing strategy because from there, I was able to look at this is what I enjoy doing. This is what I'm great at. Who can benefit from these services? I know that I'm looking for a smaller clientele, a smaller business, shops, businesses, restaurants. I do
Sure.
have a few restaurant clients that have flourished and it's been so much fun. So you kind of narrow it down just from there. Once you figure out what you like doing, who can benefit from those services, because really at the end of the day, you just want to help.
And that gets you
So
referrals and that gets you happy customers and keeps them with you forever. So it's a good strategy. So what kind of data would you use to make those decisions? Is there tools or have you developed some of your own spreadsheets and frameworks that help you kind of analyze all of your data to make smart business decisions?
sure. And when it comes to analyzing the data, I'm slightly obsessed with looking at the engagement rates of the campaigns, and A/B testing is huge. I love looking at just different engagement rates. If I just change a few words but send out the same picture, it really makes a difference just to see maybe the few tweaks, what's more successful, and what kind of clientele is attracted to which campaign. It really helps make certain decisions.
And you have to do all of those, right? You're the marketer, you're the accountant, you're the implementation crew. And I want to just double click on you had mentioned A/B testing and some of the campaigns that you do. Is that something that you automate? I know sometimes when we're new at starting a business and we're a team of one, automation can be really important, but it also takes some setup, right? And it
Yes.
takes some time to decide which tool am I going to use, and setting up those campaigns to automate that takes time as well. So, which direction do you like to go? Do you like to do a one off and then just track your metrics within a spreadsheet, or do you automate all of that and the tool that you use does the analytics for you?
I have tried both ways, honestly, because I have worked in smaller companies. I've worked in larger companies with more options as well. So I have been able and lucky enough to kind of narrow it down to what's best for Thistle at this point, and most lucrative. When you have a smaller clientele, it's not going to be the same. So I've used things like Constant Contact. I've used things like Sintra to help me with those bots and automation and things like that. Google Analytics, Power BI, Tableau, just old-fashioned spreadsheets to keep track of different trends. And I'm very, very visual. So anything that helps me break things down into segments and demographics and see things in a smaller scale really, really helps me really make those decisions. So in my personal experience, I have found for where I'm at right now in the what I consider still beginning stages of a company,
Yeah.
start slower. I kind of went all in at the beginning, thinking I needed the best, the greatest. I need all the big tools. And I found myself losing a lot of money and spending a lot of time trying to automate things that I didn't need to.
Yeah.
And in the end, it didn't seem as fruitful. When I put more time in personalizing and understanding the processes of things, I was so much more hands-on and able to know my clients, personalize the process and the experience for everyone. And I found so much more success in organization and so much more freed up time, reality wise. So if you narrow it down to the systems and the AI that you understand, get it to work,
And
you'll
build.
find your bliss.
Yeah, start with that foundation. We've
Yeah,
found a lot of our clients, their struggle is how and where and when do they integrate AI? And do they bring it in into every facet of their business? Do they start small? Should they do, one use case and then grow? And actually in
mhm,
HR, we're finding that they were pretty early adopters of AI.
right.
And they were quick to, especially larger companies, they were quick to say yes to technology because you can imagine as you deal with the job of somebody in HR with a large company, you're managing 5,000 employees and everything
Right.
to do with the onboarding and the exiting of all of those employees. And so being able to query something became very important for those large companies. Do you
Exactly.
find with your clients, are they generally looking for consulting on technology or more processes? Where do you see some of the largest gaps with your clients in the HR in general?
Mostly processes. if I'm
Mm,
being honest.
yeah.
A lot of times, especially these smaller companies, they know what they want for their company. They don't know how to get there for their employees.
Mm,
Means they're not seeing much growth
okay.
because if you don't know what your employees want to keep them happy, and if you don't know your core values, if you don't know the base of what you want for your company, then your employees won't. And
Yeah.
then you don't know how to recruit those humans and keep them happy and engaged. You're going to find the turnover and you're not going to see that consistency. Then you're not going to grow. It's all going to build on each other. So, like you said, HR was very early adapting into the AI world because when you have systems like Gusto or Paylocity that allow you to incorporate these recruiting tools and performance management, or things like the ACMAC survey
Yeah.
that are truly so helpful in recruiting, engagement, mentorship for management, anything like that, that is just so straightforward and tells you how to do it for each individual. It's so helpful. And you see such less turnover, which saves so much money. And then you're able to put that back into your company. And it's just so helpful in the long run. And you just flourish from there. Be a little bit more upfront work,
Yeah.
but it's so worth it in the long run.
Yeah, and hearing that it's important to lay the foundation to understand your goals, your company culture, and wait to automate or wait to implement that technology until you've developed the core of who you are as a company.
Exactly. And that's sort of the basis of where Thistle comes in. I love sitting down with each business owner, and I like to call them partners because I look at it more of a partnership with my clientele along their journey. I don't want to just, hand them a template that everybody gets the same thing and say, here you go. It's all the same. I really want to know what they want for their company and their employees, what's important to them, what their culture wants to be, because it's going to be very different for, a restaurant distillery than an IT consulting firm.
Yeah.
The culture is going to be different. So when you really look at that, the foundation is going to be different. And you can really use that AI tool to move you along in the right way and then implement it along the way.
Yeah, probably my favorite way of using AI as kind of a beginner's way to use it is just adding the chat interface into any tool that you normally use. So if you love Power BI, now instead of having to look for your dashboard, you're just typing in, show me my year over year growth and compare it from 2024 to 2025, and it finds the right dashboards. And I think that's been a really easy use case for us, is just putting a user interface in front of anything that you use on a daily basis, integrating them into our Googles, into our Microsoft Teams. And even if you notice, like if you use tools like Grammarly or any writing tools, they've now integrated AI into theirs too. And that's an easy use case just to speed up and make things more efficient.
Canva, that's been a game changer for so many people.
Yeah.
Love
Even
it.
if you tried to do an AI image generator in Canva yet?
Yes,
Yeah, it's
it's so much fun.
yeah.
Just
They've
even,
improved it already. Yeah, like the first time I did it, I got like two hands instead of one in like around it looked like two right hands on top of each other.
right.
Like
It's so different.
they've figured it out. So yeah, it's
Yeah,
exciting. How
they've
do
done a
you
great job.
keep up with those industry trends? I mean, there's so much. I find even just myself in the AI and data world, and I deal with a lot of different verticals. I have to read articles, I have to be on LinkedIn, I have to go to events, just to maintain my competitive knowledge. What about for you? How do you try to stay competitive and keep up with what's going on?
This is the fun part about HR, and probably only for kind of HR nerds like me. I love going to, SHRM events and, networking roundtables. I love a good webinar. Even LinkedIn does great learning seminars. You'll get those emails that is just a free session here and there. And it doesn't take that much time, but there's such a wealth of knowledge just to keep you on trend and just gives you a bucket of knowledge. It's speaking to other people. And I've joined many even social groups,
Hmm.
speaking to other, especially female entrepreneurs in different industries. What are they doing? Some people have brick and mortars, some are consulting, things like that. And just hearing what works for them versus what doesn't, and brainstorming with them.
Do you have a
We've all
favorite HR industry event that you like to attend?
I love the American Society of Employers, anything ASE.
Hmm, okay.
It's really awesome. Everybody comes with such diverse knowledge, especially to their roundtables, because everyone's coming from a different industry and different size companies. It's really cool to hear different topics that they bring to the table and what people are doing. And it's a great way to network as well.
Nice.
Um,
What about
so
social groups, especially women, other entrepreneurs? Anything a favorite that you want to throw out there today that you attend and have found some value?
My favorite, I have to say, my Facebook girls on Small Business Moms, Let's Be Social. I cannot say enough about these women. They, like I said, they're just so positive, and they could be in the same industry selling these same products, but they will promote one another through and through. We meet every Thursday, and there's a different subject matter expert that we have a 1 hour webinar together and just brainstorm and learn from one another. I can't say enough about it. So if anybody out there wants to go on Facebook, definitely look them up.
Nice.
I
That's
can't
a great
speak
tip.
highly
I
enough.
think finding a supportive community and going to events, it's really the beginning of building longevity in your business is that networking and those connections. You kind of naturally get that in the corporate world, but when you're a entrepreneur, you have to find those opportunities for yourself. So I think that's a good tips on how to build that and also just not feel like you're alone on an island
Exactly.
when you don't have employees next to you every single day and there's no water cooler to go talk at.
Exactly.
So I know we're
Exactly.
nearing the end of our time, but I think, before we wrap up, any kind of key lessons you've learned or other advice? We've gone through so many pieces of advice already through our time together, but any final thoughts on advice for other people that have maybe been scared to take the leap and start their own business, or even female entrepreneurs, maybe a top 3 things that you think would be important for them to consider in their journey?
Top three, I would say don't be scared. If you have the ability to do what you love and a supportive crew around you, make it work. Just, I know it's easier said than done and it's
Yeah.
scary. I won't lie about that. You won't regret saying that you tried. And speak up.
Hmm.
Sometimes I have found it's hard to find what I like to call your big girl voice. Easy to get muffled, especially around people who have been maybe in an industry for longer than you and you're just getting a foot in the door. It can be intimidating, but you're going to find so much respect, not only from others, but for yourself by speaking your truth, speaking up, and going for it.
Love
And then third, honestly, do what you love and just, it's your opportunity to make your own job description. If you love it, hone in on it, find those supportive support groups, like I said, look for those ladies that want to see you succeed. Definitely join the webinars,
Yeah.
go to those roundtables. I personally, it was very important for my own goals to get my SHRM SCP, which is the senior certified professional. That was just a personal goal that I always wanted for myself. And I made sure that I got it. And I was so proud because only 40% pass on their first time. And I
Uh,
did.
Good
So
job.
it was just like one thing off my plate, and I was so pumped. So if that's something that is important to you, set that goal for yourself. And it's just one more thing that is going to give you that confidence to move forward. So just
Love
never
that.
give up on yourself.
We hear that a lot that people have an imposter syndrome. I think all of those 3 tips are really about overcoming that. Am I good enough? Will I
Yeah.
succeed? It starts with believing in yourself and your skills. And I
Hmm.
think if somebody's told you you're good at something, then take the compliment and move forward with it as one of your core skills. That's
Exactly.
well, thank you
Exactly.
so much for being willing to meet today to kind of talking about your journey. And I wish you the most success. I'm glad you shared about your company and the problems that you help solve. Where can people find you if they're interested in your services?
Sure. I am on LinkedIn. You can also go to my website. It's www.thistlehr.com. I'm right
Excellent.
here in Detroit. So, but I
And
have clients all over.
okay, so virtually or in person.
Yes.
Excellent.
Very happy to meet you in person if you're around.
Nice. Well, I won't be meeting you in December, but summer meeting in Michigan, those are always the best.
Definitely. Come on around.